before I go any further. There we go. So Google My Business listing, when you do a search in Google, it's these 3 listings that show up on your phone. If you do it, sometimes you might get 4, sometimes you might get 5, but most of the time it's just 3. So Puddle Ducks, for example, here, who are in the kids activity sector, of course, their Google My Business listing, when somebody clicks into that, is about to show up, you'll see it in a second, is, in fact, I pulled one up earlier, so I'll just show you. This, if I was looking for a vintage Japanese motorcycle club, which is very niche, I really like it. This is what your Google My Business listing is. So it gives you that massive sort of patch of Google, that real estate in Google that you might otherwise not have. Now, if you don't already have one of these, it's a really simple way to set one up. It's totally free. I'm going to tell you how you do that. So all you do, so note this down if you've not got one, is just go to google.com/business. Simple as that. And once you've gone to google.com/business, there'll be a button on the top right here, sign in, manage now. Just click any one of them. It doesn't really matter. If you don't have an account, they'll go to the same place. Just for a refresher, for anybody else that wants to set up a new one as well that already has one, you'll probably see a screen like this that shows up. If you haven't got one, the first screen you're going to see is, and don't worry, we're not going to do the entire process. I'm going to be giving you lots of tips. This is just for the benefit of the people that haven't got one yet. Add a single business. And the screen that you'll see if you haven't already got an account is this one that's going to show up now. Long live the internet. Here we go. So all you're going to do, if you haven't got one already, is just type in your business name. So let's imagine I'm setting up I don't know, James's Swimming for Kids. That's my business name, very inventive. And I would just click the top where I've created it, and it'll come through to this. Choose a category, swim school, if that's what I am, or a swim club next. Now, this part is extremely important. So what a lot of people will have on Google My Business, a lot of businesses will have their home address listed when they really don't want that to be listed. They'd rather that was hidden. If that's the case and you're just setting one up, do you want to add a location that customers can visit? Press no, right? Just press no altogether. If you do have a location you want people to visit, press yes, of course. Press no. But if you're mobile, let's say I've got, I don't know, 4 or 5 swimming schools. I operate in lots of nurseries and secondary schools. I would press no there, because this next step is where you can add all the areas that you serve. So if I'm based in York, I might put, I cover YO41, I cover YO1, I cover all these different postcodes. And what you'll get is Google will draw a map around all the different service areas that you serve, and you can get found in all those different postcodes and in all those different areas. So that's as far as we're going to go in the setup process, because after that, it's really easy. It's just like phone number, opening hours, and all that good stuff. But just bear in mind that if you have, let's say you're a swimming school or a gymnastics club or a football club that you do have a location you want people to visit, press yes, and you'll have to verify it at that location. But we'll cover that in a second. If you don't, you can verify it at your home address, if you're mobile, home address, and it'll cover all the service areas that you operate. We'll go into more detail on this as we come out of the setup process. But that, just to recap, if you've not got one, google.com/business, click the Manage Now button, type in your name, and then choose whether you do have somewhere to visit or not. The rest of it is self-explanatory, so I'm not going to cover that today. Okay, brilliant. Right, I'm going to stop sharing this, and we're going to go into a very, very, very brief presentation. I promise it's not boring. This will be interesting, hopefully. I mean, I love it, so I guess that's important. So I'm going to tell you a few things about Google My Business today that are sort of missed usually by people, and stuff that you can impact and influence to generate more business. So you should now be able to see a presentation. So there's 4 key parts of Google. We are only going to cover 2 today, Google My Business and Google Trends. There's very good reason for that. Google Trends can influence Google My Business, and it's also free. And we love free tools to help us generate business. So the main reason that I started doing these masterclasses a couple of years ago is I could see this trend developing, and I haven't got 2021's numbers yet. They'll probably be released in the next 2 months. Always way behind. But GMB, which is Google My Business, your listing in Google, that little maps result, used to account for about 20% of your entire ranking in Google. Now it accounts for 33%, and that's probably gone up again in 2021. So it's a big increase. And reviews, which of course means Google reviews that are associated with Google My Business. You can't collect a Google review without an account. That is now worth 16% of your overall ranking. And when I say ranking, what I mean is when somebody goes to Google and searches for gymnastics clubs in London, gymnastics clubs in Yorkshire, you rank based on all of these factors. So you will come top if you have all of these fully optimized. But 49% of your entire ranking, your entire ranking in Google is impacted by Google My Business and reviews in Google My Business. So that really says to me that you can actually utilize free tools to get 50% of the way there. And that's why this is extremely important. So that's why we're talking about it today. We're going to look at your names. I believe Betty Bloom Dance have signed up for this today. Hopefully you're here. If you're not, it's fine. I've just chosen a few random examples. But we're going to talk about the name because there's something cool that you can do here to optimize your Google My Business. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the address. You know, people that have their home address listed, how do we get rid of that? And how do we get that map around all the different postcodes that I'm willing to serve? We'll talk about that as well. Now, if this is really key. So if you have an actual physical address that you want people to be able to visit, just let somebody in there, then there's this thing called citation management that is still extremely important for your rankings in Google. When somebody searches for youth football teams near me or whatever it might be, cookery school near me. Now, your address in Google, if you have a physical address and it's written down, should always match every other listing that you have elsewhere online. So for example, you'll have a Facebook account, perhaps a Yelp, you might be in the Scoot Network's business directories, you might be on ClubHub, What's On for Kids. There'll be loads of places that you're listed. Your address should match exactly the way that it's written in Google. So for Timpson, who are a client of ours, it's 70 High ST instead of street. So they've abbreviated the word street. You should do whatever Google does on every other listing. So just go and double check that when you've got 10 minutes. Say, right, if Google has abbreviated the word street, I need to go and do that on every other listing, because the Google algorithm works in as much as taking that information, and if it's consistent across all Facebook and everywhere else, you'll get ranked higher than businesses that aren't consistent. So that's a really key knowledge to have. So make sure you've got that right as well. Okay. If you don't have an address in Google, don't stress. Just make sure that your listings are consistent elsewhere, Facebook and Yelp and everything. Phone number. I don't really need to explain this. We're going to go into this in more detail, but so many people miss it out. Just make sure you've got a phone number listed, because businesses that don't get about 90% less website traffic than those that do. So it doesn't just lead to phone calls, it leads to website traffic. Finally, I'm definitely not calling people out here, but I just found this example from someone who was registered for this call. So Swim Vibe, just make sure you've got business hours in there. So the amount of people, so usually you lose about 70% of website traffic if you don't have business hours listed and phone calls. And there's a reason for it. It's because people think, oh, I don't know if they're open or not. I don't want to bother them. Something as simple as that. So just go in and check you've got all that stuff filled in when you get a second. I am going to show you where you do all this, guys. Don't worry, as we go through. Now then, let's actually dip out now, and I'll come back into some of the key information later, because I think we'll do it slightly differently to usual, because there's quite a lot of us. So I'm going to go and share Google again, and we're going to go in and log into a Google My Business account. So here I am back into Google. If you want to log into the account that you already have, or if you're setting one up again, google.com/business, and just get yourself logged in. Got somebody else in there. And once you're in, if you've got multiple locations, you should see multiple locations here. If you've just got the one, you'll just see the one. Just click into the one that you want to edit today, or if you're just watching today, and do it afterwards. I'll just find ours so I can take you through. Now there's two main things that I just touched on at the start of this, which were the title, your Google My Business title, so the name of the business, and indeed the address. So we're just going to look at both of those things first before I go into the more intricate detail. So the place to edit both of these things, if you've already got an account, this is what your dashboard looks like, is in the info section on the left-hand side, right? So we're just going to click into that. Now, once we're in, you'll see at the top here, this is your title. Now, you might notice, so I told you my business is called Trustist, right? So the business is Trustist, but our title, our name, actually has two other things in there. It has a service and it has a location. So we're an online business, so we can serve the entirety of the UK. You guys, a lot of you guys on this call are probably really heavily localized, so that's fine. But what a lot of you won't have are these two things in your title. So for example, if I go to one of these that I pulled up earlier from somebody that I believe is on this call, Checkers Gymnastics. So Checkers Gymnastics, you've got your brand in your title, but there's something else you can put in here to show up quite a lot more for a lot more searches. And I'm going to go to what's called Google Trends to determine what that is. So let me just take a step back and explain what Google Trends is before we do that. So Google Trends is another free tool that you can utilize in Google. So they offer it to everybody. You just literally search Google Trends and click the first one that comes up. And what it allows you to do is a little bit of like basic keyword research around what people might be searching for to find your clubs or your services. So for anybody that has a gymnastics club, for example, I've done a very quick example of what people might search for. Are people searching for a gymnastics club, or are they searching for gymnastics classes? Are they searching for gymnastics lessons or gymnastics class? You know, all these different variations of the types of searches that essentially mean the same thing. But also you'll notice that the plural and the singular actually are impacted massively. So nobody really searches for gymnastics clubs, but a lot of people search for gymnastics club. So these small details really do matter for where you rank. So what I would then do with this information is use it in my Google My Business title. So if I'm a gymnastics club, so if I go back to Checkers, perhaps that should be Checkers Gymnastics, Gymnastics Club, Gloucester. Okay, what you'll find is you just start to show up a little bit more because that's what the majority of people are searching for when they're trying to find you, okay? It's a really good way of making sure that you show up for every possible search term. Now, as well, I might be if I'm a dance school, I might do a very slightly different thing. I might search dance school for kids, kids dance school, toddler dance classes, you know, all these different things that perhaps you operate. Now, you can only put one of these searches into your main Google My Business title. So you are going to have to choose one. But again, just think about what you as a parent would search for to find your, to find something for your kids. You know, what would you type in and then do a comparison? So for this one, if I was a dance school, toddler dance classes seems to be getting quite a lot more searches. Now, one thing to note, because there might be some people here from Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and so on, you can see that in Scotland, people search for toddler dance classes pretty much 100% of the time, but they don't actually search for kids dance schools or dance schools for kids, which is really interesting. But in England, it's a lot closer. So just bear in mind that where you're based will impact these searches, and you should always scroll down and have a look here, okay? So again, you can just translate. I don't have time to do it for everybody on this call, of course, today. I really wish I could, but I've just done a few more examples that I'll just very briefly go over. What if I'm offering swimming classes, James? Right, well, go to Google Trends, do the same thing. Baby swimming classes, baby swimming school, baby swimming class. You get the idea. It's all fairly self-explanatory. And usually there's an outright winner. And then you think, wow, I didn't realize people would search for that more than anything else. But what we're trying to do here is capture your business by the most people. That's how you're going to get the inquiries, okay? I think I did one last quick example here for what if you're a football club, football for kids, kids football clubs, local football club, football clubs for kids, kids football. Again, clear winner, kids football. So if I'm a local football team, I might want to have, right, it might be York Warriors football, kids football, blah, 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 and so on. You might want to try teen football if you serve all the way up to teen and adult. But again, you've just got to choose one that you think is the most common for your business. You know, if you offer dance and gymnastics, you are going to have to choose one here. But there's something else later that I'll show you that makes you show up for the other search terms as well. Don't worry. So just to quickly recap, the title of your Google My Business is editable in the info section. Make sure you've got three things: your brand, so that might be Betty Bloom Dance; your service, dance school for kids; your location, Gloucester, or wherever you're based, right? Hopefully that makes sense, James? Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, guys, so I'm going to move on to the address before we go any further, because this is massively important. So there's a lot of people who have their home address listed that maybe did it by accident or didn't know how to not do it. So that's fine. If you've got your home address listed, it will be underneath your title with this little pin. All you need to do is click the pencil icon. If you don't want it to be listed, scroll down and click clear address and just click apply, right? You just delete it and click apply. Once you've done that, you'll have this service areas section underneath. So it's the pin, but it's a little circle around it. Now, let's say that let's let somebody else in. Let's say that I was Betty Bloom Dance and I operate in like 10 different schools in the area. So I just wanted to have all those different schools listed in here. What I would do is I would just make sure that I had all of my postcodes listed in here. Now, you can only do a maximum of 25. If you serve 25 different cities, then use cities. If you're a franchisee that serves 25 different postcodes, add your postcodes in. The great thing about this is it's going to draw that nice ring around all the service areas that you operate. And it does mean as well that when somebody goes to Google and searches for dance classes or football teams near me, and they're in one of those areas, there's every chance that you'll show up higher. So just make sure that service area section is filled in. I can see that there has been something on the chat. I'll look at that in just a second. Next thing to bear in mind is if you actually do have an address, like you've got a school that you operate from, but you do also, you want to capture people in other service areas. You want to say, right, well, I do have this physical swimming pool or this physical football ground, but I want to make sure I'm capturing people in the surrounding areas. Just add them as service areas underneath as well as your address, and you'll benefit from that as well. Okay, so if you don't want your home address listed, delete it, add your service areas. To recap, if you do want an address listed, also add those service areas so that you can capture as many people as possible. I'm just going to look at the chat now because there's been a couple of here. Can we record? We are recording. Yeah, James, you've been handling this. Fantastic. Emily, so Emma B, for business hours, should I list my class hours Friday and Saturday? Office hours for sure. The reason I say you should list your office hours instead of class hours is because you want to be able to capture leads while you're working in the office, and you can't actually answer the phone when you're in the class. So I would definitely list it as your office hours to capture the most people. Emily Redding, how often should you review the Google Trends? Google Trends does change over time. We suggest that you do it every 6 months. Usually there's not a massive change in a 6-month period, but sometimes there is. So I would definitely do it every 6 months, but I don't think you need to do it like any sort of sooner than that. Karen Mitchell, if the home address is registered address of the company and listed on the website, does it impact consistency if you take it off GMB? It certainly can. Yes, that's a very good question. The reason that some people don't want it listed is because it's not registered as their business address, but if it is, then yeah, it will impact your consistency. Look, it's not going to be a massive detriment to your rankings, but it will affect that citation management piece I talked about with the name, address, and the phone number. So if you've got it listed elsewhere, keep your home address on. It's just one of those things where a lot of people come to us and they say, I really don't want my home address listed because people might show up at my house. I'm sure it happens very rarely. But yeah, good, really, really good question. Claire, if you serve counties rather than specific postcodes, what do? You can use counties as your service areas in there, Claire. So just type those in instead. And I've got Callie as well. I've listed my individual service areas as individual businesses. I seem to get loads of inquiries. Should I change it? No, you can do that. I would just beware that Google in their guidelines say that you shouldn't have multiple Google My Business accounts for service areas. You should just have one. So there is a potential that they might suspend a couple of those accounts down the line. I've seen it where people have had those for 10 years and it's never been suspended. But I would just beware that is an option. What people often call that is black hat SEO, which basically just means you kind of cheat in the system, but it's a bit of a grey area. So if you operate 5 different service areas and you've got individual Google My Businesses, Callie, yes, you should do both. That's absolutely fine. Because if 4 of them got suspended and you've got 5, you've still got that one to fall back on. I just think, guys, I wouldn't encourage that you sort of do that if you haven't already. But if you have done it already, look, Google may stop you, they may not. So just beware.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
I've actually done that for mine, but I've got different locations. So, for example, I've got my business called Gymspire. So I've got Gymspire Academy, Tunbridge Wells, Gymspire Academy, blah, 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 and they're all different. So how do I delete them?
No, so if they're different, like when you say they're different, do you actually have different locations of the business? Like you're not just serving those areas, you operate in those different areas. Like you have an actual business set up there.
It's a gymnastics club. So we have different gymnastic clubs, but they're all under the one business, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fine. That is totally fine. I think, so let's clear this up. So if you actually have a club in multiple different service areas, like you've got one in Leeds, you've got one in York, you might have one in Scarborough, then it's absolutely fine to have different Google My Business listings for that. What I was saying about if you're a mobile business, but you just serve a few different areas, Google says just have one account and list all the service areas. But if you've got a physical club in all those areas, you should have multiple listings, yes. Does that make sense?
Sorry, yeah, it does. Thank you. That's great. Yeah,
that's all right. No worries. Emma B, can you ask everyone to mute if they're not asking a question? Yes, of course. Can everybody please mute if you haven't already, guys, if you're not asking a question, just because there's a little bit of background noise going on. I think I can do it, to be honest. Sorry. See, I always feel well rude muting people, but there we go. I've done it. So, right, guys, we're going to stop on the address now because there's quite a lot more to cover. But I'll put my details in the chat at the end, and if you have a more specific question, then you can more than happy for you to ask it. So stop sharing that, and we're going to go back into the presentation to cover off something really important that a lot of people don't really do. So slideshow. There we go. Now we've covered off the address, we've covered off the title, the first two things. Next is photos and videos. Now, there's this really interesting correlation in Google My Business between the amount of pictures and videos that you upload and the amount of website traffic you get, phone calls you get, directions requests, all the important metrics. The more pictures you have, basically, the more of these you get. And they're important metrics because they're going to get you inquiries. Now, this is the most important one, though. So the more pictures and videos you have in Google My Business, the more discovery searches you get found for. So a discovery search is exactly what I did at the beginning, baby swimming lessons near me. I am not searching for a specific business because I don't know they exist. I don't know the name of a business near me. I just want to find a service. So what I'm saying there is these are the people that don't know that you exist, and they're the ones that we want to capture. So photos and videos are a great way to do it. There's a reason for it. You rank higher usually in Google if you're uploading a lot of up-to-date content into your Google My Business. So I'm going to show you where we do that as we go through this as well. Yes, I will be sharing presentation slides, Giorgio, not a problem at all. So we'll carry on, guys, because there's another really important thing to cover. Justifications. Now, these things have been around for the last 6 months, probably, but you can influence them. Now, this that I'm showing you right now is called a services justification. You can see the highlight here. So it's a blue tick and it says provides kayaking lessons, but they're right at the top. All I've done in Google is go to Google and I've searched kayaking lessons near me. Now, I'm based in York, so it's pulled up some listings near me, right? But the one at the top is, it says, it's got a blue tick and it says provides kayaking lessons. So what they've done there is they've just added the term kayaking lessons into their services section of Google My Business. So on the left-hand side of your dashboard, you'll see a list of things like products, services. If you've got something listed as a service and somebody searches for it, sometimes you'll get shot to the top with a little blue tick. It doesn't happen every time, but you can actually influence this by adding services to your area. So I'm going to show you where we do that as well, and we'll talk about that in a sec. There are two more types of justification which are important to bring up to you all. One of them is called a website justification, and the other one is called a reviews justification. So you can see what I've done here. I've just gone to Google and I've searched for camera hire Covent Garden, right? Random search, Fujifilm, House of Photography, one of our clients. It says here, their website mentions camera hire, and it's got this little blue earth sign. So what it's done is it's popped them onto that first page of Google, with that little earth sign instead of the blue tick, because their website mentions camera hire specifically. So what I'm saying there is make sure that your website translates to all the searches that people might search for. So if I'm offering swimming classes, you should be for toddlers, teens, and babies and adults, you should have a section on your website for all of those different things, because it can impact where you show up in Google here. Okay, so just make sure that. Finally, a reviews justification. If I've searched for camera hire here, you can see here there's a little person symbol and it says the only camera hire company that I use in London for DV camera hire. So the reason they've got to the first page is because they've got a review from a customer that specifically mentions the exact words that I've searched for. So what I would be doing with that information is asking my customers to write specifically what they used my business for. So if I'm a kids football team, get a review written, because people might be searching for kids football clubs. Say, I helped my kids join this football club, and use the exact term, make them use the exact terminology that people might type in. Look, it's already hard enough to collect reviews. I fully appreciate that. But just add a little sentence into the text or the email that you send to them saying, would you mind mentioning the specific services and things that you loved about it? Because if people search for them and you've got a review that mentions it, you'll get boosted up as well, and you'll show up for that. So just something to bear in mind there, guys, that these things called justifications are becoming massively, massively more important. Now I'm going to come out of the presentation and we're going to talk about some stuff in Google My Business again. Bear with, here we go. Desktop 2, here we are. Right then, so I'm back into my Google My Business account here. So remember to get into that google.com/business and get yourself logged in. Now, the info section is where you're going to make most of your changes, opening hours, phone numbers. We don't need to cover all of that today because that's fairly basic. However, if you're a franchise and you have multiple locations, make sure that your website address reflects the exact location that you have set up. That's really important for your local rankings if you're a franchise. So just bear that one in mind. So it might be that I am puddleducks/York. Make sure that your website address isn't just puddleducks.com, it's puddleducks.com/York, because that's your specific page on the website. You want to get people where they need to be. Now, another thing that's worked really well for us as an online business is this appointments link section. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's kind of subtle, but if I just go to Trustist York, which is ours, you'll see on the right-hand side in a second, ours should show up. There we go. So this is our profile. You can see it just says appointments and trustist.org. So the way to edit that is in your Google My Business account, just where the appointment link section is. Now, the reason that I say this works well is because somebody might search for Trustist York, right? They might think, I've heard of Trustist, I'll search for them. So they search, and instead of going through to the website, they might see this. They might not want to go through to the website and go through that whole process of reading through an entire website. So if they click this button here, they can book an appointment directly into our diary without having to go through that process of going through the website. We found that our demonstrations have picked up massively since we incorporated this. So for you guys, you might use a Google form to do your bookings. But if you're willing to take direct bookings through Google, add it here, because what you'll find is people just book on and you get those additional leads. Because what a lot of people, right, there's been some studies over the past few years that if you add an extra click into a customer journey, so if they have to fight their way through your website, you lose about 90% of that traffic. Not all the time, but it does happen. And I think if we can just capture leads from this one simple place in Google without them having to bother going anywhere else, it's going to work real wonders for you. So just bear that in mind. If you've got a contact page on your website, pop it in there, get them right there. Now then, there is a messaging feature on here, which I personally like. It's worked well for us. For some people, it hasn't as much, but the messaging feature is associated with the Google My Business app. So if you've got an account, download the app and you can receive messages directly from Google like you can on WhatsApp and Messenger and those kinds of things. The reason it works well, again, is because you're giving people that a direct point of contact from Google My Business. So on their phone, a message feature will appear like on this little panel. So they can just ping you a message, say, do you cater for 5 to 7-year-olds, whatever it might be? Do you cater for adults? All that kind of thing. So just engaging with you so that now becomes a lead for you, okay? That becomes an inquiry. Okay, so just a couple of things to bear in mind there. Now, some things that people don't do, and I have seen a lot of people that do this that are on this call, so bear with me if you have, and this is sort of knowledge that you've already got. But for the benefit of people that don't, Google now specifies that a product can be defined as a service or a product. So when they say product, they don't just mean like a tangible thing that you sell, like, right, I'm selling motorcycles, or I'm selling sofas, cakes, whatever it is, a tangible thing. A product is now also a service, something that you offer to people, swimming lessons, kids' football classes, all those kinds of things. So what I would be doing that information is listing all of my services as a product. So for example, if I just go to Lionheart Football here, I had a look at yesterday, you can see that it gives you this really nice standout in Google. It gives you this bit of real estate down here. Businesses that do this, by the way, do rank higher than businesses that don't do it. So it's well worth doing nonetheless. So for Lionheart Football, they do sell tangible products. They've got T-shirts, all that sort of stuff. But I'm sure Lionheart Football also offer services. So you might offer football training for kids. That should also be added in here. You don't have to put a price if you don't want to. The reason for that is this carousel gets used by customers much more than say the posts do at the bottom. So people interact with this because it's right bang slap in the center of the screen for them, and that's why they do. And there's a lot of psychology around why people react with certain things, but this one just seems to get a lot of traffic. People can click into that, and they can buy it now. If it's a service that you're offering, they can book now onto a class, but just get those listed. Like if I go to, let's just do this as an example. I'll go to this. Does Swim Vibe have a website? I can't remember. Yeah, so if I go to the Swim Vibe website, so swimming lessons in Falkirk. Right, so we've got an hour classes thing here. Let's just click into that. So this might not be a great example, but it might be. So if I've got different types of classes, here we go. So you've got class levels. What I would potentially do if I was Swim Vibe is list my class levels. So I've got an adult and toddler swimming class as a product. I've got a new beginner product. I've got an advanced swimmer product. Because what you want to do is capture those leads directly through Google in that product section, like as I go back, Lionheart Football are doing with their tangible products, but do it with your services. You'll get more traffic. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm just going to show you a couple of things in the services section now. Again, it's quite confusing because we're using products and services interchangeably. But remember from the presentation a second ago that a service can get you that blue tick and shoot you to the top if you've got it listed here. So this is what I would do slightly differently in the services section. I would list my services as products. And in here, I would list all the different things that I think people might search for to find my business. So for us, we're all about helping people get website traffic, helping people get more reviews, helping people collect reviews, SEO optimization, all this kind of stuff. So that's what I've typed in. For you guys, it might be football club for kids, teens, and adults. All these different things that people might search for should be put into here because you'll get that little blue tick like they did for kayaking lessons near me when people are doing that local search to find your business. So people might search for digital marketing and we want to show up for that search term. So we've got it listed here. There's no real limitations in this part. I've seen businesses have like 50 different search terms and services listed. But also what I would suggest you do is use Google Trends to determine this stuff again. Remember we went in there before and looked what are people searching for. In fact, why don't I just have baby swimming classes and baby swimming club listed as a service? Because people clearly search for both of them, but slightly differently. So just bear in mind that can be impacted. This does impact your rankings in Google. I'm just going to go to the chat because I think we've had another question. My dashboard doesn't have services listed under products. Really good question. Some of you may not have that. That is determined by your business category. So Claire, if you won't mind just posting what your category is in the chat, that'd be great. If I go into the info section on the left-hand side here, you'll have a category underneath. So ours is internet marketing services. Yours might be football school, football club, snooker club, whatever it is. So Claire, if you could just pop what yours is in there, and then I'll speak to that so that for the benefit of everyone. Thank you. Let's have a look. Gymnastics club. Is there anyone on this call that has a gymnastics club that has the services section listed? If nobody pipes up, I'll talk about it, but in fact, I'll just talk about it anyway. Oh, hold on, we've got a message. Martin, not yet. Fine. So sometimes if a particular category does not allow you to have a services section. Now, there are some things you can do to get around that. You can change the category to another one. So it might be gymnastics, something else, and then change it back. And sometimes it appears, or you can just change it permanently. There's no rhyme or reason to this. Google have specified that some clubs, they don't allow to have a services section, and it's just unfortunate. You'll never be able to get that blue tick. But what you will be able to do is add the products in, and I think they're going to be the thing for you, Claire. Chloe has it, fine. So what I would suggest doing then, change from gymnastics club to something else temporarily for like a day, and then when it's been verified, change back to your gymnastics club, and it should appear. That's what has happened multiple times before with other sort of clubs that we've worked with. Absolute pleasure, no problem at all. So quick recap, guys. We've gone through the info section. If you're willing to capture leads directly through your Google My Business panel, again, free leads, why not? Add an appointment link, contact page, a Google form, whatever it is. Add your products. And I'm not just talking your tangible products, I'm talking your services as well, because they are essentially a product. You're selling them. Add your photos and videos. Now, we spoke about this in terms of rankings. It's so important nowadays. Now, for us, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to determine. That is an awful picture of me. Somebody posted this yesterday. Terrible. But basically, your photos and videos don't just have to be photos. I mean, you guys are all in a sector where you've probably got some really rich content. You know, children and adults enjoying your classes, enjoying what you do. For us, it's kind of hard because we are online. So what we do instead is we design imagery. So we might have a blog update. You know, we're sponsoring Children's Activities Week with Cordwell Children. Brilliant charity, by the way. If you've never been involved with them and you're in the sector, I'd really advise getting in touch. They're beautiful people. We create images about reviews that we get. So this is how we get around the issue of photos. But for you lot, you've probably got rich content. Some people apparently post photos of me when I'm in a compromising position, but that's totally fine. So that's another point, actually. So that photo there came from a masterclass yesterday. So if I go into my reviews, you can see that the newest reviews, I think there's probably 2 here. So one there, Rachel. So Rachel has posted a review about us, fab training session with James, and she's added a picture. You don't have to do all this work yourself. If you're collecting a review from a customer, they can upload a photo at the same time. Get the parents to do it for you, do this work for you. Then you don't have to sit there uploading 100 pictures all the time. Fresh, up-to-date content is going to help you rank higher, okay? I've just got another message on the chat. Private, that's fine. I'll look at that at the end. Okay, that's totally fine. And also, reviews. Let's talk about reviews ever so quickly. Now, all of you, when you have a Google My Business account, will have a link to collect Google reviews. If you don't know where that is, just click the home section, little home tab on the left, and you should see a Get More Reviews button here. Just click Share Review Form, and it will create a link for you to be able to send out to people. And you can just copy and paste that, pop it in an email, in a WhatsApp message, whatever you want to do to collect a review. And when you're sending it out, make sure that you're asking people to upload a picture at the same time. It's all about rankings, guys. Get yourself higher up, okay? Another thing that a lot of people don't do, fingers crossed I've done this for the last couple, because otherwise it's going to make me look stupid. No, I have, thanks. Right, so with your Google reviews, Google has specified about 3 months ago that if you respond within 24 hours to your Google reviews, both positive and negative, you will rank higher than people that don't bother. So there's, a lot of people don't respond to positive because they just think, oh, that's fantastic, great, I'll leave it. Just say thanks. Thank you so much for the kind feedback. If you get a negative one, just be diplomatic, but make sure you respond because you'll rank higher than businesses that don't bother. Tanya's asked a good question. Can you add Facebook reviews to your Google reviews? The short answer to that is no. Like, you can only have Google reviews on here. Sometimes they will show further down here. It might say reviews on Facebook. But if you use a platform like ours, so Trustist is an aggregator, so we combine reviews. So you can see that on our website, we've actually got 334 reviews, but we've only got 165 in Google. So that is because we've used Facebook, Google, and 3 other platforms to combine them, G2 and something else. The point to make there is that if you want to combine reviews, you're going to have to use a third party. You can't do it through Google, unfortunately, Tanya. Cool. So I'm still in Google. Let's just go back into here. There's probably one more thing to cover that I haven't quite covered yet, which is Google Posts. So Google Posts now account for about 7% of your local rankings in Google. So what that means is you can impact another 7% on top of that 49% where you rank by just doing these posts. These posts are like any other Facebook post, any Instagram post that you do, and they sort of count in the same way. So you can see that we do them down here. They appear in Google again. So all on this same knowledge card that people can see to book in with you before they find your website, read your reviews, see your posts. So we'll post about some 5-star reviews that we get. We might do a post about an awards ceremony that we've been invited to, a blog update. All these different things are going to really impact where you're ranking, guys. So it's really important that you do them. So if I could just, to finish off, make one really key observation, it's that, well, I say one, it's one observation that there are sort of 3 massive things to do today. Change your Google My Business title by looking at Google Trends to determine what people search for. Add those into your services as well, if you haven't already, to get that little blue tick. Add your services as products to get that nice carousel bang slap in the center of the screen where people can start engaging with you. And if your address is listed as a home address and you don't want it to be, delete it, add your service areas in. If you do want to keep it there, that's totally fine. It'll be good for citation management, but just beware that it is your home address that's listed. If you have multiple locations, if you genuinely have multiple locations, create multiple listings as well, okay? Jessica has asked a good question. How often do you recommend doing posts? As often as you do like a Facebook or an Instagram post, I would say minimum once a week. Twice a week is probably about right. The thing with these posts as well, like, you know, they're not going to get viewed by a massive amount of people, but it's more about showing Google that you actually do them. I've got a question from Giorgio. In actual terms, our post on Facebook are worth posting under products. No. So Giorgio, what I was saying there is, do a post, like do one on Facebook, and then try and post it into Google as well as a post. Okay. It's not in a product, not as a product, as a post, which is a different section here on the left. You see, you've got products, but you've got posts. They're like your social media stuff. Sarah or Sarah, forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. My last post got rejected and I don't know why. So it could be any number of reasons. It could be that what was the post, if you don't mind me asking? Just give us an example of one. And if I can't work it out, I'll give you my details. We'll work it out together. We're just going to have to wait for Sarah to respond here, guys. Sorry.
Should I speak, James?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, please,
it might be easier. So I posted just some workshops that I've got coming up. I used a couple of images with some text underneath. It wasn't, it wasn't very spammy or anything. I tried about 3 times to put different stuff up. Every time it came back rejected, and I send you to a page to look at to sort of say why it might have been, but I couldn't work it out. Did you use emojis, and did you use links to try and sell a workshop? I probably used a link. I might have used a link. So you used a link, but no emojis? Oh, I don't think so, no. Because I've seen it happen where if you use emojis, they get rejected, but I've never seen it just by using a link. It'd be good. I'll tell you what I'll do, just so everybody's got them anyway. If I just put my email address in here, if you want to do the post and then when it gets rejected, send me a screenshot and I'll try and work it out for you. Oh, that'd be amazing. Thank you. That's all right. No problem. You've got my email address there. If anybody else has questions as well, because I know we've only had the hour today, there's probably more. Feel free to ask them privately there. That is not a problem. Victoria's asked a good question. Can you change your title multiple times? Right. Short answer is yes, but I think you can only do it 3 times a year. So just be very aware that you can't just go in and change it continuously. That's why it's good to keep on top of Google Trends at all times. I say at all times, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Twice a year is probably enough. Hopefully that answers your question. Awesome. So I'll be honest, that's probably everything that I wanted to cover today. I think there's just a few of those intricacies like justifications and products that
Let's have a look. Tots Play Wolves, you mentioned only having one search term in your title. What is the issue in having multiple search terms? Really good question. What you're doing there is you're diluting both of those search terms. So if you've got one in there, you're going to get found by the most people. If you've got two, Google doesn't know which one to show you up for at all times. So it'll start conflicting with each other. Most businesses that have like too big a title tend to not rank as high as businesses that don't. So just beware that you don't want to add that you don't want to add everything you do in there. That's what the services section is for. Giorgio, looking forward to the presentation slides and email address. Very informative. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Jacqueline, how do I get into Google Trends? I'll tell you what, let me show you all before we leave. I'll tell you what I'm going to do as well, if you don't mind, just because it would be wrong of me not to. And I've got you all as a beautiful, captive audience. Oh, wait, I'll tell you what I've done there. I've put it in the wrong place. So let me just put this to everyone in meeting. Could I ask, if you have enjoyed it, I've just sent a link. Please leave me a lovely Google review about how amazing it was. If you didn't like it, we'll never have to speak again. It's fine. But if you did, I'd really like that. That'd be awesome. Hopefully it was helpful. Just click that link before you get off the call and you can leave us a Google review. That'd be lovely. Now then, let me show you where you get to Google Trends, guys. It's really easy. If I just go Google Trends, just search for Google Trends in your Google bar at top. And let's see. It should be the top one there. So if you can't, who's it that asked the question? Sorry, I've totally forgotten. Jacqueline. So Google Trends. And the email address, sorry guys, I posted it into the waiting room, which nobody's in. So trustist.com. There you are. Best use of an hour for a long time. I tell you what, Emma, if you can put that into a review, I'd be absolutely buzzing. Thanks. But Google Trends, yeah, you literally just click the top one. It should be there. Guys, any other questions while you've still got me? We've got 4 minutes till I have to race on to something else.
Just while any more questions come in, just to say thanks to James and to Trustist. I mean, you know, I found it extremely helpful. I'm sure others have as well. And anyone who missed it or that you want to revisit any of it, James has recorded it, and then I'll email it from LoveAdmin. We could hopefully get that out to you this week with the recording, any of the slides. And
Hi, James.
Sorry.
Sorry, just a quick clarification. It was brilliant hour. I mean, really helpful. The only thing is, I'm one of these gymnastics clubs that run from different venues.
Okay.
And you mentioned once that we should have it under one Google profile, and then again you said maybe we should have individual. So is it once or individual?
So that depends. Like, are you dealing with, like, let's say, how many schools do you operate from, and 10. Are they all in like the same area?
Within 10 miles. So yeah, 10 schools, 10 miles.
Yeah. So again, what Google would say is that you should have one account and you should list your service areas. But if you look, you could set up 10 if you wanted to, but like Callie did, and you will get inquiries in all those areas, but Google could suspend you eventually. And I just think for me, it's not worth taking the risk.
Yeah. Perfect. No, that's great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. I'm really happy. There's some lovely comments coming through. So thank you very much, guys. Hope you all have a really cracking day. Also, LoveAdmin have been great for us over the last couple of years as well. We're working with our mutual clients. So I would strongly advise that you look at them for booking systems and admin for your children's activities businesses, guys. So you've probably got James's details now because he's been spamming you about this. So that's all good.
Brilliant. Thanks, James.
That's an absolute pleasure. I've just been asked where the link to leave a review is, so I'm just going to pop that in one last time. Google review link. If you just click this one, Giorgio, you should be able to find that. And just, thank you very much, guys. I'll leave it open for a minute just in case anyone hasn't clicked it. If I don't see any Google reviews coming through, I'm going to be very disheartened, guys. No, awesome. Just a note on that, actually, if you are collecting reviews, do it when you've got a captive audience. Like, you know, I was saying it in jest, but if you run a class, take a QR code to a class and ask the parents after the class to scan it and leave a review before they leave. People hate to say no face to face. But yeah, look, I hope everyone had a lovely time, James. It's been a pleasure to see you again. Drop me a line and I'll get you the video over today, and hopefully we'll all catch up soon.
Great stuff. Thanks, James. Thanks, everyone.
Absolute pleasure. Take care, guys.
Cheerio.
All right.